There are 42 drugs that have been approved for men for erectile dysfunction. There are 2 drugs that have been FDA approved to support women's libido. So that should be a wake-up call for all of us. There just isn't, again, enough education, there's not enough support.
Hi everyone, this is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you all to Smart Women Talk. This episode is an open and revealing conversation about what's really happening in midlife and why it's not the beginning of the end, but the start of something very powerful. Pam DeRose and Julie Fedeli are co-founders of Midlife Upgrade and the authors of the hot new book, Midlife Upgrade, A Girlfriend's Guide to Finding Power in the Pause. So midlife is not a crisis. It's a powerful invitation to reevaluate, reclaim, and rewrite the next chapter of your life, even with the hormones, the hot flashes, and all of that. Knowledge is power, and you deserve both. From hormone therapy, mental health, sex, and sleep, there are real solutions, but you need to know the right questions to ask. And the best news is that you don't have to do this alone because community is everything. Whether you are grieving, reinventing, or rediscovering your libido, women need other women. And we've got these women in your corner, and that's what Midlife Upgrade is all about. So let's meet our guests. Welcome, Pamela and Julie.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're so happy to be here. Thank you, Katana. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And Julie, I've known you for years. You've played a very important role in my own health journey, and I appreciate that very much. And a while back, you introduced me to Pam when you had this vision, you had this dream. So tell us, how did this come about that the two of you met and decided to do this?
Well, Julie hosted an event post-COVID in 2022 called Love, Sex, and Menopause that I attended, and we hadn't seen each other for some years because of COVID. And on my way out, she asked me some questions about orgasms. And
I said was very straightforward. I said, so Pammy, do you have all the different kinds of orgasms? And now we had been friends prior to that for a decade, so she was not a stranger to me. We had shared a business for 10 years, and we just had never talked about sex. She was going down the top of the stairs, and she was like, yes and yes. And I was like, oh my goodness, we have to have lunch. And then we met for lunch. Actually, interestingly, we completed everything with our book 3 years to the date, actually, that we had lunch, which was June 2nd, 2022. Anyway, then we had lunch, and Pammy can...
So I've been health coaching for about 20 years. And on my own journey, I was struggling with midlife and all the symptoms that go along with perimenopause and menopause. And with all I knew, and I thought, if I was struggling, what is the average woman doing to take care of herself? And so I had a vision of doing some type of an educational program for midlife women to help them go through this stage of life. And I shared that with Julie, and she said,
yeah, I had been wanting to create something that was evergreen, right? That's a platform for women. I wanted to do something that had a bigger reach. And Pam and I were already, both of us pretty much over 3 decades, supporting women and coaching women with health and wellness. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And we intended to create an educational platform for women. So now, and then we were also told that we could write a book as a lead gen for our educational program in 3 months. Little did we know, as Pam has said, that when you decide to write a book called Midlife Upgrade, that we would have to go through our own upgrades. We went through quite a journey, the two of us, in our individual lives and collectively also. That's what makes the book so fabulous, actually, if we do say so, is that not only do we have these decades of experience, both of us, but also that we also went through, as we call it, a fire swamp.
I remember going to to different conferences and hearing a book is a business, and you have to build a whole business around a book, and it does take a long time, especially if you have a publisher. So tell us how the book itself and the Midlife Upgrade, the actual business, it's a bigger vision than just the book, isn't it?
Correct. We were at an event a few weeks ago, and a woman said to us, "What exactly is your business plan?" So Pam is an MBA.
I've started multiple businesses, I've ran multiple businesses, and I'm all about doing a business plan.
We have a business plan for sure. And you have coached us, right? And you are an amazing and wonderful coach. And so we created a business plan for sure. But my response to her was, we are just following the golden nuggets. There's no doubt in our minds that this was really meant to be. And creating the book and the business was really meant to be. We have had so much extraordinary support from women in the menopause movement and our communities. And regarding creating a business, we now have an educational platform. In addition to the book, we are launching a podcast, and we have a very incredible social media person who's now handling our social media.
We host amazing events. We have quite a bit of outreach, and it's interesting how being in feminine leadership, it just seems to be that the right people drop in at the right time.
Yeah.
So this is unlike any business I've ever created or ran. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
There's such a need for it, ladies. Tell us about women and the kind of confusion that happens, because you realize something is going wrong with me and you start having all these symptoms. Let's talk about that and how women get so blindsided. And quite often they go to the doctor and the doctor can't really even help them. Can you talk about that a little bit and why this is so important?
I can talk a little bit about my own journey. I do think there comes a time in your life where you do realize something's gone offline. And unfortunately, women are used to suffering, and we tend to suck it up until we can't anymore. And then you try to go get some help. And unfortunately, a lot of the medical professionals that you depend on are not educated on this. And we have a long history of being dismissed when it comes to explaining what our symptoms are. And there are so many symptoms. It's unfortunate. There's really not one specialty that specializes in menopause. So it's, what is a woman to do?
And it has been for a very long time, obviously, a taboo subject. So it was never talked about. And then also we have been acculturated to really suffer and suffer silently and take care of others. So we may be having migraines, we may be bleeding profusely. I've quite a few girlfriends who have actually been in board meetings and actually, as they say, bled out in the meetings, right? And it's not acceptable if you're a woman who is a professional to talk about menopause, because you could actually get riffed or laid off because you're no longer valuable, useful to the big organization. There's been so much, and it has changed a lot. When we started writing our book, there wasn't even information about the WHI, the Women's Health Initiative study in 2002, that has now been completely debunked. So that study, I'm going to really make it simple, said that estrogen causes cancer, essentially. And here's the thing. There was just recently an incredible podcast with Rachel Rubin and Peter Attia. Rachel is an extraordinary woman, and it's a 2-hour podcast.
Worth it, though. I've listened to it twice. It's so good.
We started writing the book in 2022, having this conversation, creating Midlife Upgrade, and the movement has taken off. We just feel very fortunate that we happen to be in that flow. And we're like the girlfriend, that's our book, The Girlfriend's Guide. We're the girlfriends who are educating women, and we need more physicians. That's the other thing.
It's really unbelievable. And the crazy thing is, you think about all the books there are on pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
The Girlfriend's Guide to Having the Perfect Pregnancy. Very few books on midlife and menopause.
When you mentioned hormones, I think because of the Women's Health Initiative, because of that study, doctors were afraid to even talk about hormone therapy.
100%.
And they still are.
Oh.
There's a whole generation of women who completely missed out on the opportunity to have something that their body naturally makes. It's really devastating. And some of the effects of not having estrogen are long term: brittle bones, loss of brain health, cardiovascular issues. And it's really a shame that happened to so many women, and that so many women are still not being treated because of some misinformation.
Yeah.
My bone density, because I did the hormone therapy with bioidentical hormones, and my bone density went up.
Yes.
I don't know, is that a common thing that?
Yes. You can go for a DEXA scan, and they say all women should start having a DEXA scan at 40.
But most insurance doesn't even cover a DEXA scan until you're 65.
Exactly.
And then you're almost too old. If you have osteoporosis, it's almost too old to reverse it, which is very unfortunate.
So this is, we all have to be part of this movement. And as Pam and I say, we are not necessarily like pro hormone for everyone. I'm 62. I've been using bioidentical hormones since I was 51. So I think that is why, in part, that I am still so healthy and strong. And my generation and older, so I'm the last of the boomers, those are the women who are really suffering with osteoporosis. Mother, who's 85, everybody was using hormones. She chose not to. And in the last few years, she has shrunk 5 inches. And she's a beautiful, strong woman, but she has osteoporosis. And there, as Pam said, estrogen actually can prevent osteoporosis. And there are estrogen receptors on every organ in the body, the heart.
You have hormone receptors all over your body. This is something we're not educated on our physiology. But even hormones like progesterone and testosterone, you have receptors for those all over your body. For me personally, when I started hormone therapy with testosterone, my brain went completely offline, like out of the blue. I wasn't in menopause when it happened, so nobody would really give me any attention. But because of my background in health and wellness, I knew enough to know if I had no testosterone, that was affecting my brain, and was able to finally find someone who said, yeah, you need testosterone. And that was the first hormone that I started on. Now, I do want to say we are not pro-hormone. Hormone therapy is not for everybody, and it's something you should definitely discuss with your provider. But we are pro-woman. We are pro-choice. We want women to educate themselves and know that they have a choice in the decision-making process.
And the testosterone conversation is actually getting more traction now. I did not start testosterone therapy until about 4 months ago. But I heard Dr. Kelly Casperson share that she had a patient who was actually bilingual, English and German, and that she couldn't remember German anymore. And that once she started using testosterone, the German came back. And I was like, wow. So I could notice at 61 that my cognitive functioning wasn't as sharp as it used to be. But now they really think that it's very important. Kelly talks about this, that hormones have been genderized, that men have estrogen, men have testosterone, women have estrogen, women have testosterone. And we do a lower dose, both of us, but we have noticed that actually it's increased just our ability to feel stronger, physically stronger. And they're actually suggesting it as part of the regimen for women would include testosterone as well.
And fun fact, men have more estrogen in their bodies than a postmenopausal woman does.
Knowledge is power. If women can learn about this, they can have good conversations with their doctors. And if their doctors are not giving them the answers, then they need to find another doctor. So what do you say to women that they're going to a doctor? And I remember when I was just on progesterone and I went into the OB-GYN, and she said to me, "Why are you taking that?" And she said, "You're not taking it anymore." And she just took me off it without any discussion. And she didn't want to talk about
it. That happens a lot.
All the time.
Yeah. So what does a woman do? And then is there a resource for her to even find people that have had extra education?
First of all, I would say if any doctor dismisses you, that you find another provider. And women, we've become good at ignoring our intuition. We know when someone's taking us down a path that's not good for us. So really tune into yourself and listen to what your body is saying to you. Again, I just said earlier, we have a long history of being dismissed, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've both been very fortunate to have great providers. And I think both of us have been advocating for a long time for the women that we have coached, and also have been advocating for ourselves. As we have said, there's not a lot of providers. ISHWISH, the International Society for Women's Sexual Health, we suggest that women go there to that website and look for menopause providers.
Can you repeat that again?
It's called ISHWISH, the International Society for Women's Sexual Health. Also, Mary Claire Haver, who is very well known in the midlife movement, she has people who give referrals of their physicians. And she has a website. They are not physicians she recommends. They are physicians that are recommended by people who follow her and offer a great review. But there's not a lot in this country. We have found that providers from both of those places are excellent. And additionally, when really there aren't enough providers in certain states, we have friends who are licensed as DOs in different states that we refer to. And also, we recommend that women use telehealth. And the one that we have been referring people to is MyAlloy, ALLOY.com. Dr. Sharon Malone, who has written a book called Grown Woman Talk, who's a wonderful OBGYN, and she was interviewed in the beautiful documentary about menopause, The M Factor. So she is the medical director for MyAlloy, and it was, of course, founded by two women, one who went into early menopause due to cancer. They're brilliant women. I have gotten great reviews from friends who we have referred, but there are other telehealth companies now, too, that are really pretty good, too. So
That is fantastic that we have these new resources.
Oh, it's amazing.
So let's talk a little about sex. These relationships we're in with our spouses or our mates, whoever we're with, and just our own personal libido. What is it that women can do right now?
there are 42 drugs that have been approved for men for erectile dysfunction. There are two drugs that have been FDA approved to support women's libido.
This little stat gets me pretty fired up.
So that should be a wake-up call for all of us. There just isn't, again, enough education. There's not enough support. It's changing for sure. This is one of our favorite subjects. We have a chapter in the book about sex. We have a chapter in the book about relationships. A lot changes in midlife. As I think we also want to talk about GSM.
Yeah, we
right? Okay, as estrogen decreases, there's a lot that happens that Pam and I didn't even know about really until a year ago. Okay, and we're in the soup, right? We should know this. And it's called GSM. It was formerly known as vaginal atrophy.
Which sounds horrible.
Yeah, but GSM is hard to say. It's genitourinary syndrome of menopause. The solution is vaginal estrogen, which is non-systemic.
Which means it doesn't go to other areas of your body.
So for women who are concerned about using estrogen, vaginal estrogen is A-okay. There's, I don't know the stat, but elderly women die of UTIs. The other thing that happens is clitoral atrophy. And all of these women can't put on pants. And so women just think, oh, this is my thing. There must be something wrong with me that this is happening.
What physically happens? Is this like they're falling out, or they just working?
Basically shrinking up.
Okay.
The labia gets smaller.
Everything gets smaller. So imagine if a man's penis could down to nothing, there would be a solution for that.
Right.
Oh God, yes.
Rachel Rubin said there would be a vaccine for
Yes.
that. And Peter Attia, who never laughs, laughed. And no, he knew that was true.
Yes.
And also, if men had periods, they'd have ongoing monthly disability.
Yes.
They wouldn't come to work.
Amen.
So it's our time now.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Our time.
Power in the pause.
Amen.
Power in the pod.
Okay, so what can women do about this? So, of course, they have to find a doctor that even knows about this and has proper solutions, right?
Well,
we give questions in the book for women to ask their doctors. So women themselves are educated. We mentioned the online telehealth providers if they're unable to find someone in their area. There are also a lot of female femtech companies that are popping up that have some amazing lubricants and different products that women can use over the counter if they're uncomfortable using some type of a vaginal estrogen product.
Let's just start at the beginning. What are some of the symptoms that women need to start looking at that they're moving into menopause? And then how do they know that perimenopause is when it's ending? Like, how do they know they're moving out of it? And then how does it change? My second question is, what are some secrets to make that whole thing better? But let's talk about the symptoms first.
First of all, there are way more symptoms than you could ever imagine. And we still don't think that they're all identified. The big ones are hot flashes, lack of sleep, weight gain, migraines, heavy periods, but it can be more subtle symptoms like all of a sudden you're itchy. I'll tell you, the first indication I come from a family with a history of heart problems. I started having heart palpitations out of nowhere, and they were so severe that I was in the ER. I was admitted in the hospital for days where they did a ton of cardiac tests. No one could figure out what was wrong with me until a female doctor came in and suggested I might be in perimenopause. I personally had that happen to me, but there's dermatitis. I could go on.
here's the thing.
UTIs.
My son was born when I was 38. I didn't even know the word perimenopause existed. And if I reflect back on the fact that he was born at 38, I developed an autoimmune illness, which it's now in remission, thank heaven. And I look back, I see that I actually had all these symptoms that were definitely perimenopause. And there was never a discussion by my OBGYN or my GP. That might be something that's happening to me and what the preparation might be and what I could do. Pam and I take supplements. We've been doing that for 30 years. So as she said earlier, we were the last people that we would have expected to have these things happen. And if we knew if we were going through this, right, or looking back on what we had been through, that other women really would be suffering. And it's just really, I think the key thing is that women, as Pam also said earlier, really to follow your intuition and trust that what you're experiencing, that you need to really tend to yourself and care for yourself and advocate and ask questions and talk to your girlfriend. Begin to have conversations about the subjects that nobody talks about.
So perimenopause, they believe now starts in like your late 30s. And perimenopause, we don't even know how long it can last. It could be 10 years. I think I've been in perimenopause for 15 years.
So explain what menopause and perimenopause, what is the difference between them?
Menopause is before menopause. So menopause means, basically menopause is a day. It's the day 1 year after your last period.
Okay.
Perimenopause are all the years that lead up to that, where you really have a host of symptoms. And some women, I think it's 10 to 15%, sail through with no problems. The rest of women have a laundry list of symptoms that can be related to perimenopause. And what perimenopause is, it's the decline of estrogen. Your body is getting rid of your eggs. When your eggs are all gone,
That's it.
that's it.
And then there are the symptoms of perimenopause, and then we have the symptoms of menopause, right? The symptoms of menopause do include inability to sleep deeply, again, hot flashes, weight gain, especially around the middle, an increase in cortisol. So
Your brain goes offline.
And that's really interesting. I have a friend who hasn't done hormone therapy and called me and said that she had been noticing that she was really having cognitive issues. So that to her was very important. What should I do? That's menopausal. There's no such thing as post-menopause. You're menopausal when your periods stop after that 1 year.
Something that you guys didn't mention, but let me know if this is part of it too. The bones are getting weaker, the vaginal wall is thinning, and then I hear women complain about pain in sex.
Yes.
Oh, and also having sex even though they have pain.
Yes.
And really, again, it's essential to use vaginal estrogen. And lube is good, but that isn't necessarily, and for women who are very concerned, there is a lubrication that actually has DHEA. DHEA is a precursor. It's not estrogen.
I want to throw in real quick here too. There is something to use it or lose it.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors now recommend using vibrators because it, of course, brings pleasure, but as well as it promotes blood flow to that area of the body, which helps with youthfulness as well.
And women really should consider seeing, especially if they've had children, a pelvic floor therapist. Now, we know you need resources to pay for all these things, to pay for hormones, to see a GYN, pelvic floor therapist. My alloy is actually very reasonably priced. That's why we refer a lot of people there. But there are things you can do on your own. As Pam said, you can buy a vibrator. I know that yoni eggs, right, vaginal crystal eggs have gotten a bad rap because a very famous woman said that they were great. Kegels were never meant to be done without weights in the vagina. You're supposed to be doing resistance training. Otherwise, you're just flapping your vaginal walls around. So really, it's muscular, right? So you want to keep those organs. A lot of women end up with prolapse, and that's misdiagnosed also. There are a lot of very sad stories about that.
What about besides the prolapses, urinary incontinence?
Yes.
Included, because it seems like it's just rampant right now from what I've heard. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, really, what we should be doing is what they do in France, where you see a pelvic floor therapist after giving birth.
Yep.
And that would help a lot. But pelvic floor therapy can help tremendously with incontinence. And that is a common symptom that happens during menopause. Vaginal estrogen helps with that as well.
Oh, so thank you so much, ladies. This is so great hearing this stuff because, again, where the heck do you hear it? Where do you find out about it?
Really,
you'll get the straight truth from your girlfriend. That's what we're here to do.
That's right.
Real deal.
And our mission really is empowering women to take care of themselves and to really attend to themselves. And midlife, what's the Instagram account where the We Do Not Care Club?
Yes.
So she's fabulous. She's created this, 600,000 likes, the We Do Not Care Club. And with the decline in estrogen and also just going through midlife, even if you're doing hormone therapy, you do have less estrogen you did when you were 16 or 30. And it's an opportunity for the two of us really have totally rebirthed. It's an opportunity for rebirth. And I know you too. I think that it takes courage, but sometimes you're not given an option. You have to leap.
And midlife women have so much wisdom to give. We feel very strongly that we need more women whose hearts and brains are turned on. We need women to help save our planet, truly.
Yes.
And I think it's everything about women's health, whether it's vaginal health or breast health. And what happens when a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, it's like cookie cutter. We'll put you in our system kind of thing, rather than looking at each woman individually. So the important thing is really getting medical advice. We're not giving medical advice here today.
No, we are not.
At all. We are here to educate you so you can find the right kind of qualified resources. I want to make sure that we talk about community because you really are big believers. That was the third pillar that I mentioned in the very beginning of your platform, is this idea of community. And I am very upset, and I apologize. I didn't make it out to Chicago for your big midlife event. I know
We're doing more. We're doing more.
Good,
So
good.
hang on.
And I will get to the next one.
Oh, good. We'd
No,
love
I will. It was just really difficult timing. But you do these wonderful events. Talk about community, and then how can women join your community and know when these kind of events are happening?
First of all, it's a common topic now that we're talking about where loneliness has become such an epidemic in our country. And women, we are meant to tend and befriend. We are meant to be in community with each other. And post-COVID, it's really become such a problem that it's akin to smoking or being obese. Julie and I love getting women together. We've done like 4 pretty big events at this point. We're planning more because the more we do, the bigger the audience gets. We see how desperate women are to connect with other women.
I started something called the Underground Goddess Salons 15 years ago. And it was after I had gone into remission with my motos, I realized that, wow, I really wanted to be of service. So I started creating these events, these pop-ups, and I would invite all these women. And Pam also loved creating parties. And she's an incredible chef and a raw foods chef, certified raw foods chef. So when the two of us came together, sure, we were writing the book, we were creating the educational platform, and it was just coincidental that the events began to appear for us. Like I talked about earlier, the golden nuggets. We somehow got in touch with Dr. Kelly Casperson, and she was like, sure, my book's coming out. I'll come to Chicago. And she came to Chicago, and we sold out the events in 4 days. We had another one sold out in 8 days. And it was lovely to watch women coming together. And that would happen at the Underground Goddess Salons. Women would say, I've been searching for women like this. And I think we have more in common, right, than we know. And also, now that for a lot of us, our children are gone, we're in this beautiful 3rd chapter, perhaps, of our careers. We may feel more solid, more self-confident, really have more belief. And also, more of us are looking to help other women. So this has just really been an opportunity. And of course, as all of these women who are in the midlife movement are very generous. So any doctor we've mentioned today, they're very generous. They have come to our events. They have supported our events.
Supported our book movement.
The female-owned businesses that have been sponsors for our events have just been extraordinarily generous. And so it's just been a
Really
real blessing for
and
us.
magical.
Yeah.
You talk about blessings. I think the two of you, the fact that you met and came together and did this project is a blessing, and it's such a gift to all of us.
Oh, thank you, Katana.
so
It's very
sweet.
nice of you.
No, I'm saying this from my heart. I'm just thrilled. And I'm just so happy for the two of you. And thank you so much for coming to Smart Women Talk today and sharing this message. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would to share right now? And then I'd love for you to tell us how women can connect with you.
Anyone who wants to connect with us can go sign up on our website, Midlife Upgrade. And we encourage women to follow us on Instagram. Our handle is at We Are Midlife Upgrade. We post events, we post interesting stories, we share, and we look forward to launching our community and our course really soon.
Oh, we should show
Yeah.
that this is a galley copy, but you can see it's backwards, but we have these beautiful peonies. And so
Of course you do. You have to make your book beautiful.
yeah, it's really, yeah. So we're just here to be part of anything that helps women. As Pam said, we need to be alive, we need to be turned on so that we can really support the future generations too. We really want younger women to be part of this movement because we have a limited amount of time perhaps left, maybe 20, maybe 40 years in my case. And we want to prepare younger women so that they can have even more strength to do the work that they want to do in the world. And so we're just happy to be here. And we're just thrilled to be in your company. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And everyone, I just want to point out, if you love this show today, please be sure to like and subscribe and share it. It helps us so much, and we want to get this message out to everybody. Until our next show, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity.